In the news, Republican congressional leaders say that voters, not the Supreme Court, will have the final say on Obamacare this November. And they're betting that the unpopular health care law will be the issue that will help them regain power. Here's Heather Sells.
It will be an issue, a big issue, in the fall election. I think the Chief Justice basically said this is up to the American people to decide. We've got one last chance here to defeat Obamacare. We can do that in the November election.
On the Sunday talk shows, Republican congressional leaders repeated their claims that voters will be the ultimate judge of Obamacare. And they spoke out about the court's portrayal of the law as a tax.
Look at the hypocrisy. The president on your show said this is not a tax. Then he sent his Solicitor General to the Supreme Court to argue that it is a tax in order to get this past the Supreme Court.
Democrats said the penalty would only affect 1% of Americans, those who can afford health insurance but refuse to buy it.
Those who want to be free riders have to pay they either have to take responsibility and buy insurance, and there are many ways for them to do it, or they get a penalty. And the penalty, yes, it is charged under the tax code.
Public opposition to the health care law remains high. 47% in a recent Associated Press poll say they oppose it, and parts of the law are still in court. In Kansas over the weekend, several thousand Catholics gathered to protest the part of the law that requires employers to cover birth control. Meanwhile, House Republicans are gearing up to vote to repeal the law on July 9th, and Minority Leader Nancy Pelosi says, bring it on.
And everybody will have lower rates, better quality care, and better access. So that's what they want to repeal. We're happy to have that debate.
Both sides are also preparing for November and laying out some very dramatic stakes.
This election will be about the economy. The American people are focused on the economy. They're asking the question, what are we doing to get it going?
This election is a choice of two futures. Do you want a government-centered society in a government-driven economy and government-rationed health care? Or do you want the American Opportunity Society with a safety net, a free economy, economic freedom, personal liberty?
Heather Sells, CBN News.
Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts reportedly sided with conservatives on the High Court to strike down the heart of the health care law, but later changed his mind. CBS News reports that Roberts formed an alliance with liberals to uphold most of the law. No one is certain why Roberts switched, but some analysts have speculated he was keenly aware of pressure from the media as well as liberal politicians. New York City churches can continue to hold Sunday services inside public schools. The city had passed a law that would ban churches from holding services after school, but a federal judge has permanently barred the city from enforcing that law. The city had kicked the churches out, arguing that worship services in public schools are an unconstitutional endorsement of religion. Judge Loretta Preska ruled, though, that the ban violated the First Amendment guarantee of the free exercise of religion. New heat wave warnings for much of the country today. Over the weekend, the heat spawned violent storms across the East Coast, killing at least 17 people. Dozens more were injured, and nearly 3 million are still without power today. For some, it could be a full week before that power is restored. Charlene Israel has the story.
The effects of the weekend's violent storms are still being felt along the East Coast. Fierce winds uprooted trees, throwing them onto homes, cars, and power lines. Millions are still without power today, which means they just continue to suffer through this blistering heat wave with no air conditioning.
It's aggravating, it's frustrating, and the best thing is we're trying to do keep everybody cool, and we just stick together.
We have a pool, so we're able to go in and cool off a little bit, but it's been a struggle.
Virginia's governor called it the worst non-hurricane damage his state has ever seen.
This is going to be a while to get power restored in Virginia, and I can't emphasize that enough.
A state of emergency was declared in Virginia, Washington, D.C., and Ohio. But 7 states are still struggling to get power restored. Linemen from Texas are driving in to help the power crews.
For a few days, it's okay, although obviously with the triple-digit temperatures, it's very uncomfortable.
Employees in the storm-damaged areas are being cut some slack at work today. After a weekend with no electricity, many are being given the option to stay home. It's hoped that this will not only be a relief to them, but also to the roads. Many traffic signals still aren't working. Charlene Israel, CBN News.
A federal judge has temporarily blocked a new Mississippi law that could shut down the only abortion clinic in that state. The law requires that abortions be performed only by an OB/GYN with admitting privileges at a local hospital. The Jackson Women's Health Organization filed a lawsuit. A judge has scheduled a hearing next week on the new law.